this is Jen from Monroe's Fiber Studio. I love a secret compartment, so today let's crochet the Hidden Pocket Pendant necklace. Let's take a moment and look at the materials that we're using today. I decided to go with Knit Picks Dishy. This is a 100% cotton worsted weight yarn, and I'm also using Linello by Lang Yarns. This is a fine or number 2 weight yarn. For the worsted weight yarn, I'll be using a 5mm crochet hook, and for the fine yarn, I'll be using a 3.25mm. Anywhere between 3.25, 3.75 would work great for this project. I also have a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and a few stitch markers. Our project begins with a magic ring. For round 1, you'll work 7 single crochets into the ring. Mark the front loop only of the first single crochet that you make, and then close your ring. If you are uncomfortable working the magic ring, you can chain 2, work 7 single crochets into the second chain from your hook. Go ahead and mark the front loop of that first single crochet, and then when you're weaving in your beginning tail, use that length of yarn to close any opening that you might have in this beginning round. In round 2, we'll be working in the back loops only. For this round, you'll work a single crochet increase in each stitch around. A single crochet increase simply means to place 2 single crochets in the next stitch. It is very helpful to mark the first stitch of each round with a stitch marker. That way, if you lose your count, it's easy to pull out a few stitches and go back to the beginning of the round. At the end of round 2, you'll have a total of 14 single crochets. Here we are on round 3. We're going to continue working into the back loops, so back loops only. You're going to work single crochet, mark that first stitch, and then a single crochet increase. Our pattern for this round is a single crochet and then a single crochet increase all the way around. At the end of round 3, you'll have 21 stitches. At the end of round 3, I want to take a moment and have a look at our piece. You can see that by working in the back loops only, it leaves those front loops exposed and they form the shape of a spiral. We'll be using those unworked stitches later to attach a flower onto our pendant. At the end of round 3, I also like to go ahead and weave in my beginning tail. It's just kind of nice to manage your yarn and get this tail end out of your way. We are all set to move on to round 4. Round 4, we continue to work in the back loops only. The repeating pattern for this round is to work a single crochet, then a single crochet increase, and then another single crochet. You'll repeat this pattern all the way around, and at the end of round 4, you'll have 28 stitches. I'm sure you've already picked up on this, but just in case you haven't noticed, we're working in multiples of 7 for this project. Round 3 had 21 stitches, round 4 has 28. Here we are at the end of round 4. The overall size of your pendant will be about 2 inches in diameter, or just over 5 centimeters. We begin round 5 a little bit differently. You'll start by chaining 7, then you'll skip the next 7 stitches, and then working in the back loops only, you'll work 21 single crochets. This will take you back around to your starting point, and it will also create the opening for our hidden pocket. I didn't bother marking the first stitch of this round, simply because I know I'm at my last stitch when I get back to that beginning chain 7. This is also an extended round, as we're going to be working a few stitches into those 7 chains. Here we are back at our starting point, and what we're going to do first is we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 chains. Now I often work in the back bumps of chains, but for this pattern I'm treating these like stitches, and I'm going into the back loops of the front of the chain. After the 4th single crochet, we're going to create our neck chain. So at this point, you need to decide how long you want your pendant necklace to be. Pendant necklaces typically run between 24 and 34 inches. Keep in mind that this is cotton, it has a little bit of stretch to it. If you put something in the pocket that has a little weight, that will add some length. To give you a reference point, I decided to make a pendant that's about 30 inches long. For me, that meant chaining 130 chains. I am breaking out my handy dandy ruler and measuring my chain to make sure it's the length that I want. Without pulling on it at all, it measures right around 30 inches. I'm okay if my pendant hangs a little bit longer than that. I kind of like that length, so I am happy and ready to move on. Just remember that the most important thing is that you make a neck chain that's long enough to slip over your head. You can see that I just took a moment to make sure that there are no twists in my chain before I join it back to my piece. We're going to join the other end of our neck chain with a slip stitch to the post of our last single crochet, that 4th single crochet we made right before we started our neck chain, and then there should be 3 chains left from that chain 7. We're going to work a single crochet into each one of these chains. Mark the first one of these because it'll make this stitch easier to find. You'll see why as we get to the end of the next round. I have become a big fan of stitch markers, and anytime they can help you out a little bit, I say go for it. At this point, we've completed the front of our pendant and the pocket round, and now it's time to decrease back down to where we started for the back side. We'll still be working in back loops only. For round 6, your repeating pattern is to work a single crochet decrease and then 2 single crochets. So repeat this pattern around. I will rejoin you when we get to our neck chain, just so we can take a closer look at how this pattern works around the neck chain. If you're new to working a single crochet decrease, you do so by inserting your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then insert your hook into the stitch after that, yarn over, pull up another loop, then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Here we are at the neck chain. The next stitch in our pattern is our decrease, and the decrease will still be worked in the back loops, but it's going to be in the back loop of the stitch right before our neck chain. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you're going to go into the back loop of our marked stitch. And have the neck chain in front of your work. Complete that decrease, and then all you have left to do for this round is 2 more single crochets, and round 6 is done. I am removing my hook and placing a stitch marker in the loop just so that my work doesn't accidentally get pulled out. This way we can have a little peek at our work. You can see we've got the front of our pendant and the little spiral. We've got our neck chain, and in front of that is the pocket. And then if we flip it over, you can already see that on the back side, we're beginning to decrease our way back down. On to round 7, we continue working in the back loops only. Our repeating pattern for this round is to work a single crochet and then a single crochet decrease. Repeat this pattern all the way around, and this will reduce our stitch count to 14 stitches. I continue to time travel to the end of rounds just to keep this tutorial a reasonable length for you. And here we are at round 8, back loops only. Once again, this is our last round of crochet. You'll work single crochet decreases all the way around. At the end of this round, you'll be down to 7 stitches. When you've completed your last decrease, you're going to cut your working yarn, leaving at least 8 inches for sewing. And then I'm just going to pull on my hook and pull the yarn right through. And now it's very important to mark the front loop of that last stitch that you made. We have a little ring left, and we'll be closing this ring by whip stitching our ending tail through the back loops only of each of these 7 stitches. After you're done whip stitching your way around, then it's time to pull on the yarn and close the ring. Don't be afraid to give it a good tug. I find that I need to really tug on it a little bit to pull the yarn through all of those stitches and close the ring. Then I can feed this last tail through to the back of the pendant and weave it in. At this point, the body of our pendant is done. It's basically a pocket with a drawstring. The back side is the side attached to the neck chain, and I have the front side facing, marked by that little pink stitch marker in the center stitch. That is where we will begin crocheting our flower. We'll be working in all of these unworked front loops and following the spiral around as we go. We'll begin by joining our yarn to the pendant with a single crochet at the stitch marker. This is the unworked front loop of the very first single crochet from round 1. insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 3. Our flower pattern is quite simple. You'll single crochet in the next stitch, chain 3. You'll repeat this 41 more times, not including the joining single crochet, or if you count that beginning single crochet, there'll be a total of 42 single crochet chain 3s. I'm stopping after the first round just to weave in that beginning tail. I kind of like to manage my yarn as I go, and I just like getting that beginning tail out of the way, and then I'll carry on with my flower. Essentially, we're doing this for all of the unworked front loops from rounds 1 through 3. Because we're working in multiples of 7, that basically means adding 7 plus 14 plus 21, which is a total of 42. I have reached the last few stitches. If you happen to dislike counting, you're basically stopping where the opening to your pocket starts. You've got your 7 stitches, and then there's the ending of your flower. Now we ended with a chain 3. I'm going to cut my working yarn, pull it through the loop on my hook, and then I'm going to thread this yarn, and I'll feed it through to the wrong side of the pendant, creating the last petal for the flower. I'm just positioning it so it closes the flower up nicely. And then there's nothing left to do for the front of our pendant but to weave in this tail. You could stop right here if you wanted to, but I kind of think it's fun to add a little design to the back side as well. Now we have a spiral on the back that mirrors the spiral on the front, so you could have flowers on both the front and back of your pendant. Just to show you another option, I'm going to work a spiral pattern on the back side. This will also lay more flat against your body. This time we're going to join with a slip stitch. This just means to insert your hook under that stitch marked by the stitch marker, then yarn over, pull it through the stitch and the loop on your hook. This time we're just going to be working slip stitches all the way around, once again for a total of 42 stitches, or 41 more after your joining slip stitch. I think you'll find that the spiral works up very quickly. I do stop once again at the end of the first round and weave in the beginning tail. and then I start right back up, working my slip stitches until my spiral is fully formed. When you have a total of 42 slip stitches, it's time to finish off and weave in this ending tail. Before we take the time to fully appreciate our hidden pocket pendant necklace, let me show you how to close the pocket. I have inserted my hook through the middle of those 7 stitches, so count from one side, and on the 4th stitch insert your hook and then grab your neck chain and pull it through. Your neck chain will also serve as the drawstring for your pocket. To open and close your pocket, just give a gentle pull and it opens right up. I'm tucking in a pretty little heart-shaped piece of quartz, and then I can just give the neck chain a little tug and the pocket closes. Here is our completed pendant. I hope you enjoyed this project. I'm curious to know, what would you put in your hidden pocket, and what colors would you use? I love the way this beige and orange one turned out. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. I post every Tuesday, and I can't wait to share more of my patterns with you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.